If you're a collaborative operator and are someone who can handle constant pressure and you don't need your day to follow a predictable pattern, this job might fit you better than you expect. But it comes with trade-offs that most people don't see up front. At a high level, this role sits between people who need help the most and a system that decides how or if they even get it. You're not the one providing treatment either, and you're not the one sitting in therapy sessions. Your responsibility is controlling who gets into the building, when they get in, and whether everything lines up so that the facility can actually take them in and help. That means reviewing referrals, verifying insurance, coordinating intake and managing staff, as well as keeping the census at a level that allows the operation to even run. And the part that makes this job different is that both sides matter at the same time. You're dealing with people who are really trying to get clean, and a system that has to stay financially and operationally stable. If one side breaks, the other side surely follows. So the expectation is not just to help people. The expectation is to keep the entire system moving while you do it. The day starts before you're even ready for it, too. You're in around 6:45 in the morning, already pulling reports from the night before and checking what came in, what didn't, and what needs to be fixed. There's no ramp-up period either. You're immediately in motion. A staff member may walk up and say, "Hey, we had 2 discharges last night and 1 left against medical advice." You nod and already adjusting the numbers in your head. Another voice comes from across the room. "Hey, we've got 3 referrals waiting, but one of them might not qualify." And you say, "Well, give me the clinical." You say that without looking it up, and by 7:30, the phones are still active. Hospitals are calling, referral sources are checking availability, and families are just trying to figure out what to do next. One call might get transferred to you. The voice on the other end might sound unstable. "I don't even know what to do, if I can do this at all. I just need help." You lean forward slightly and you might say, "Well, you called for a reason. Let's not lose that. Let's walk through it together." At the same time, your screen is filling up with updates. A patient hasn't shown up. Another's waiting on insurance approval. A staff member might call out, and you have to shift immediately. "Well, just move her into intake," you say. "I need coverage on the phones." There's no clean separation between tasks. You're managing people, decisions, and outcomes all at once, and everything is moving at the same time. By mid-morning, you're in a meeting reviewing the week's numbers. Someone might ask, "Why are the numbers down this week?" You already know. "We had 6 out and 3 in yesterday. We'll just have to figure out how to make it up." You say it because you have to, not because you know it'll happen. The rest of the day, well, it follows the same pattern. Calls, adjustments, decisions, and constant movement between problems. At some point, you realize you haven't stopped thinking since you sat down. This is a highly interactive environment. You are constantly dealing with staff, patients, and families, as well as outside agencies. And your effectiveness, it depends on how well you manage those interactions in real time. If you prefer to work alone, or you need space to focus without interruption, this job is going to wear you down pretty quickly. The pressure in this job isn't just tied to one moment. It's constant, and it builds in layers. You can spend the entire day working a case, reviewing clinical information, coordinating with insurance, and lining everything up, and then the person, they may not even show up at all. You sit there for a second and you stare at your screen knowing all that work just disappeared. "Sometimes you do the work all day," she said, "and there's nothing to show for it." Then the next day, it swings the other direction. 12 people come in all at once, and now every department is overwhelmed. Staff start looking at you like, when is this going to slow down? And the reality is, it doesn't. There's also a time window that you don't control. When someone decides they're ready for treatment, that moment, that thought process, that's often temporary. If you don't move fast enough, they change their mind. And if they change their mind, they're going back out there. And sometimes that can end in overdose. The longer you wait, she said, the more time they have to talk themselves out of it. You feel like every time the phone rings, that's the brevity of the situation. Then there's the emotional weight that doesn't even go away, ever. You see what long-term addiction actually does to people, not just physically, but mentally and socially. You see people who used to have families, stability, and a support system, and now they're walking through life alone. At some point, she said, there's just nobody left. You don't react to it the same way as you did at the beginning, but it doesn't disappear. It just becomes part of the job, the everyday pressure. This job gives you a high level of autonomy, but you're still operating inside of a system that sets the boundaries, insurance requirements, clinical criteria, and organizational targets, all shape what decisions you can make. You control how you respond, but you don't control the constraints you're working within. One of the reasons people move into this field is there's a clear path to advancement, even if it doesn't start that way. Most people begin in entry-level roles such as patient monitoring or intake coordination, often earning somewhere between $30,000 and $50,000 a year. From there, moving into admissions or insurance review roles can bring into more like $50,000 to $70,000 range. At the director level, compensation typically falls between $60,000 and $80,000, depending on the facility and the performance expectations. Advancement is usually internal. You learn the system, you take on more responsibility, and you move up over time rather than entering directly into leadership. Most roles require at least a college degree along with experience in healthcare, behavioral health, or administrative in most cases. Director-level positions represent the top of that track within a facility. This job runs on an unpredictable rhythm. Some days are slow, others are overwhelming, and there is very little consistency from one shift to the next. You have to be able to adjust quickly, stay engaged, and continue performing even when the workload and pace change without warning. This job tends to fit people who can operate under constant pressure without shutting down and who are comfortable making decisions without having perfect information. It works well for people who can manage multiple priorities at once, lead others, and stay mentally engaged even when there is no clear stopping point. It also fits people who find meaning in helping others, even when the outcomes are inconsistent or incomplete. On the other side, this job is not a good fit for someone who needs predictable days, clear structure, or defined end of their workday or their work task. It will wear people down who struggle to separate work from personal life or who take every outcome personally. If you rely on consistency, clear wins, or emotional distance to stay balanced, this environment will become difficult over time. The trade-off is direct. You're working in a high-pressure, emotionally demanding environment where the work never fully turns off. But in return, you get a role where your decisions matter and where you are directly connected to real outcomes. When you pull all that together, this job follows a clear pattern in the Compavra system as a collaborative operator. You're operating in a high interactive environment, making real decisions under pressure while constantly adjusting and changing to conditions and demands. And when you look at it that way, it lines up as a social, guided, adaptive. For the right person, someone who can handle pressure and adjust quickly and stay engaged without needing stability, this can be meaningful and impactful. But if you need predictability, separation from work, or slower pace, that same environment can become overwhelming over time. And that's what it's like to be a director of admissions for a rehabilitation center. Thank you for watching.